The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers. The King in Yellow is a collection of short stories published in 1895. The stories are loosely connected by a fictional play of the same name, which drives those who read it insane. The first 4 stories in the collection are linked by this theme, while the others are more romantic tales. The play The King in Yellow is never fully presented within the book, but it is referenced multiple times, creating an eerie and mysterious atmosphere. The stories often blend elements of horror, romance, and supernatural fiction. Notable stories in the collection include The Repairer of Reputations, The Yellow Sign, and In the Court of the Dragon. The tales are set in both America and a fictionalized future version of Paris. We'll talk about each one of the stories presented in the book. The Repairer of Reputations. Setting: an alternative 1920s New York with futuristic elements. The story opens with Hildred Castaigne's recounting of his recovery from a head injury. After reading The King in Yellow, his mental state deteriorates. He becomes obsessed with a fantastical idea that he's destined to be the king of a new American empire. Hildred frequents the office of Mr. Wilde, a grotesque figure with a vicious cat who claims to repair reputations by orchestrating scandals or arranging for the removal of personal enemies. Hildred and Mr. Wilde plot to ensure Hildred's ascension to the throne, which involves removing obstacles, including Hildred's own cousin, Louis. Louis, a military officer, is initially dismissive of Hildred's delusions. The story's climax is a violent confrontation between the two, revealing the tragic depths of Hildred's insanity and the lethal nature of Mr. Wilde's operations. The Mask. Setting: a luxurious apartment in Paris, adorned with artworks and overlooking a beautiful garden. Boris, a talented sculptor, unveils to his friends, Alec and Genevieve, a miraculous discovery, a liquid solution that can turn any living thing into pure marble. He demonstrates this by transforming a goldfish and a rose, preserving their beauty forever. As the days pass, it becomes evident that Alec is secretly in love with Genevieve, Boris's wife. This unspoken love creates tension, especially as Genevieve seems to reciprocate Alec's feelings. One day, Genevieve decides to immerse herself in the pool containing Boris's solution, turning herself into a perfect marble statue. The reasons are left ambiguous, but the implications are that she did it either to escape the love triangle or to achieve eternal beauty. The story ends with Boris and Alec's grief over her irreversible decision. In the Court of the Dragon. Setting: the streets of Paris, with a particular focus on a church. The unnamed narrator attends a church service, but the organ music, played by a mysterious organist, fills him with an inexplicable dread. The melodies seem to be connected to The King in Yellow, a play that has haunted him. After the service, he feels pursued by the organist, who appears to be everywhere. The streets of Paris transform into a nightmarish landscape as the protagonist tries to escape the relentless pursuit of the organist. The chase becomes increasingly surreal, with time and space distorting around the protagonist. He seeks refuge in various places, but the organist's presence is inescapable. In the climax, the protagonist is dragged back to the church, where he faces the organist and is consumed by the haunting melodies, suggesting a descent into madness or the grip of the King in Yellow. The Yellow Sign. Setting: an artist's studio in New York City, overlooking a churchyard. Scott, a painter, and Tessie, his favorite model, share a close bond. While working on a portrait of Tessie, they discuss a strange churchyard watchman who evokes a sense of unease in both of them. As the days progress, Tessie reads The King in Yellow and is deeply affected by it, experiencing nightmares and a growing sense of dread. One evening, the watchman visits their studio, revealing himself as the Watcher of the Dead. He is an otherworldly harbinger connected to the King in Yellow. Tessie and Scott are compelled to follow him, symbolizing their surrender to an inescapable fate. The story ends with a sense of inevitable doom, emphasizing the play's malevolent influence. The Demoiselle d'Ise. Setting: a medieval French countryside, seemingly lost in time. Philip, an American sportsman, finds himself lost while hunting in the French wilderness. He stumbles upon a medieval hunting party, where he meets Jean d'Ise and her brother, the Sieur de Nesle. Despite the apparent time discrepancy, Philip is welcomed warmly. He quickly falls in love with Jean, and the two share a deep connection. As they spend time together, Philip learns about the local legends, including the tale of a deadly marsh snake. In a tragic turn of events, Jean is bitten by this very snake. As she lies dying, she gives Philip a ring and asks him to remember her. Philip suddenly awakens in the present, realizing he had been experiencing the past. He discovers Jean's ancient grave, confirming the reality of his time-traveling encounter. The Prophet's Paradise. Setting: ethereal and dreamlike landscapes, not tied to a specific location. This piece diverges from the traditional narrative structure. Instead, it's a collection of prose poems, each offering a snapshot of a moment or emotion. The vignettes touch on themes of love, loss, beauty, and melancholy. For instance, one segment describes lovers separated by an insurmountable chasm, while another speaks of the fleeting nature of happiness. While not directly tied to the overarching theme of the King in Yellow, the prose poems add depth to the collection, emphasizing the transient nature of human experiences. The Street of the Four Winds. Setting: a quaint street in Paris. Severn, an American artist living in Paris, finds a stray cat outside his studio. The cat wears a ribbon bearing the name Sylvia. Taking pity on the creature, he cares for it overnight. The next day, driven by curiosity and the cat's evident distress, Severn decides to find Sylvia, its owner. He follows the address on the ribbon and discovers a woman, presumably Sylvia, dead in her apartment. The story suggests she died of a broken heart, and the cat's distress was due to its owner's demise. The tale is a poignant reflection on loneliness, love, and the silent bonds between humans and animals. The Street of the First Shell. Setting: Paris during the Siege of Paris in 1870, amidst the Franco-Prussian War. This story revolves around two friends, Jack Trent and Paul, and their experiences during the war. Paris is under siege, and its citizens face hunger, fear, and the constant threat of bombardment. Jack is in love with Paul's sister Yvonne. As the story unfolds, the horrors of war become personal. Paul's home is destroyed by a shell, leading to a tragic sequence of events. Amidst the backdrop of war, the narrative delves into personal tragedies, the fragility of life, and the impact of conflict on individuals and relationships. The Street of Our Lady of the Fields. Setting: Paris, particularly the Latin Quarter. This story is a departure from the eerie and supernatural themes found in the earlier tales in the collection. It revolves around the lives of art students in the Latin Quarter of Paris. The narrative primarily focuses on a young American art student named Hartmann and his infatuation with a young Breton girl named Lise Trevec. The story delves into the bohemian life of the Latin Quarter, capturing the camaraderie, romances, and challenges faced by the students. Hartmann's pursuit of Lise is complicated by cultural differences and misunderstandings. The tale is a blend of romance and comedy, offering a lighter tone compared to the other stories in the collection. Rue Barrée. Setting: Paris. The title Rue Barrée refers to the nickname of a young woman, meaning blocked street. The story follows Paul, an American art student in Paris, and his relationship with Rue Barrée, a young woman with a mysterious past. She is independent, proud, and has a reputation for being unapproachable, hence the nickname. Paul becomes infatuated with her and seeks to win her over. As their relationship develops, the narrative delves into themes of love, trust, and the challenges of cross-cultural relationships. The story provides insights into the lives of expatriate artists in Paris and the complexities of their relationships. Both The Street of Our Lady of the Fields and Rue Barrée are more grounded in reality compared to the other stories in The King in Yellow. They offer a glimpse into the everyday lives, romances, and challenges faced by young artists in Paris, showcasing Chambers' versatility as a writer. I'll continue presenting a simple analysis of the book and its different themes. I'll focus on 4 main topics and expand on them on some subtopics. Themes of madness and reality. The King in Yellow delves deep into the human psyche, exploring the fragile boundaries between sanity and madness. This theme is most evident in the stories directly influenced by the fictional play within the book, which drives its readers to insanity. Influence of the forbidden play. The mere act of reading the King in Yellow play within the stories leads characters to a state of delusion or paranoia. This serves as a powerful commentary on the profound impact literature and art can have on the human mind. The play acts as a forbidden fruit, tempting readers with its allure, only to plunge them into the abyss of madness. Blurred boundaries. Throughout the stories, there's a recurring motif of reality becoming distorted. Characters often struggle to distinguish between the real world and their delusions, leading to tragic consequences. For instance, in The Repairer of Reputations, Hildred Castaigne's perception of reality is so warped that he believes in a grand conspiracy and his own royal destiny. Reflection on society. The theme also serves as a mirror to society's perceptions of sanity. What is considered sane or insane? Who gets to decide? The stories challenge these notions, suggesting that reality is subjective and can be easily manipulated. Influence of external factors. The environment, relationships, and personal experiences of the characters play a significant role in their descent into madness. Whether it's the haunting melodies in The Court of the Dragon or the unspoken love in The Mask, external factors push characters towards the edge, blurring their sense of reality. In essence, Chambers uses the theme of madness and reality to delve into the human condition, questioning the nature of sanity, the power of external influences, and the profound impact of art on the human psyche. Symbolism of the color. Yellow. The color yellow, while often associated with warmth, happiness, and light, takes on a more sinister meaning in Chambers' collection. Its recurrence serves as a powerful symbol, representing various themes and emotions. Decay and corruption. Historically, yellow has been linked to decay, sickness, and even treachery. In the context of the book, the color symbolizes the mental decay of characters who come into contact with the play The King in Yellow. It's a visual representation of their deteriorating sanity and the pervasive corruption of their reality, the forbidden and the otherworldly. The titular play, The King in Yellow, remains largely unseen in the stories, adding to its mystique. The color yellow, therefore, becomes a symbol of the unknown and the forbidden. Just as the play is alluring yet dangerous, the color yellow serves as a warning of the otherworldly dangers lurking beneath the surface. Pervasive influence. The color's recurrence throughout the stories highlights the inescapable influence of the play. Just as yellow stands out vividly against other colors, the play's impact is stark and unmissable in the lives of the characters. It's a constant reminder of the lurking menace. Contrast with everyday life. In several stories, the color yellow is juxtaposed against mundane settings or everyday life, creating a stark contrast. This serves to heighten the sense of unease and the supernatural, making the ordinary seem extraordinary and the familiar seem alien. In The King in Yellow, Chambers masterfully uses the color yellow not just as a visual motif, but as a powerful symbol, representing the play's insidious influence, the fragility of sanity, and the thin boundary between the known and the unknown. Influence on later horror. Robert W. Chambers, The King in Yellow, has left an indelible mark on the horror genre, influencing many writers who came after him, most notably H.P. Lovecraft. The elements that Chambers introduced in his collection laid the groundwork for the cosmic horror subgenre. Forbidden knowledge. One of the central themes in The King in Yellow is the danger of forbidden knowledge. The play within the book, which drives those who read it to madness, is a precursor to Lovecraft's forbidden tomes like the Necronomicon. Both authors suggest that there are truths so profound and terrifying that the human mind cannot comprehend them without breaking. Cosmic horror and insignificance. While Chambers doesn't delve as deeply into cosmic horror as Lovecraft does, the seeds are there. The idea that there are forces beyond human understanding, represented by the play and the mysterious King in Yellow, hints at a universe where humanity is insignificant. Lovecraft expanded on this, creating elder gods and cosmic entities that dwarfed human understanding. Ambiguity and the unknowable. Chambers often leaves a lot to the imagination. The play's contents, the nature of the King in Yellow, and the exact events happening in some stories are left ambiguous. This technique of not revealing everything, of letting the reader's imagination fill in the gaps, was something Lovecraft employed extensively, making the horror even more profound because it's unknowable. Shared universe. Chambers' Carcosa, a mysterious, ancient, and possibly otherworldly city mentioned in the book, was later incorporated into Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos. This idea of a shared universe, where different authors contribute to a larger mythos, became a staple in horror literature. In essence, while Chambers and Lovecraft had distinct styles and thematic focuses, The King in Yellow undeniably paved the way for the evolution of horror literature in the 20th century. Its themes, motifs, and narrative techniques have become foundational elements in the genre. Romantic and decadent influences. While The King in Yellow is often recognized for its horror elements, it's equally rooted in the romantic and decadent literary movements of the late 19th century. These influences are evident in both the style and content of Chambers' stories. Emphasis on emotion and individualism, romanticism as a movement, prioritized emotion, individual experience, and the sublime beauty of nature. In stories like The Demoiselle D's, Chambers captures the intense emotions of love and loss against the backdrop of a timeless natural landscape. The characters' personal experiences and feelings are at the forefront, driving the narrative. Decadence and aestheticism. The decadent movement, which emerged as a reaction against the perceived stifling morality of the Victorian era, emphasized aestheticism and the pursuit of beauty for its own sake. In The Mask, Boris's discovery of a solution that turns living things into pure, unchanging marble can be seen as a pursuit of eternal beauty, a key theme of decadence. The tragic consequences of this pursuit highlight the movement's critique of superficiality and the dangers of valuing form over substance. Melancholy and fatalism. Both romantic and decadent literature often carried a sense of melancholy, a yearning for something lost or unattainable. This sentiment permeates many of Chambers' stories. Characters are often haunted by past decisions, lost loves, or the inexorable march of time. The sense of fatalism, especially in stories influenced by the play The King in Yellow, aligns with the decadent belief in the inevitable decay of society and the self. Contrast with the supernatural. Chambers' romantic and decadent influences are often juxtaposed with the supernatural elements in his stories. This creates a unique blend where human emotions, desires, and experiences are set against a backdrop of cosmic horror and the unknown. The beauty of a moment or the depth of a character's emotion becomes even more poignant when contrasted with the lurking menace of The King in Yellow or the otherworldly implications of the play. In conclusion, The King in Yellow is a rich tapestry of influences, blending the emotional depth and aesthetic pursuits of romanticism and decadence with the eerie, unsettling elements of cosmic horror. This combination gives Chambers' work its unique flavor, making it a standout in both horror literature and the broader literary landscape of the late 19th century. I hope you liked this first video. If you want another one like this, leave it in the comments and suggest what book you want me to summarize and analyze in this format. I invite you to subscribe and like the video. If you enjoyed what you saw, have a great day.